Okay, at this time, I'd like to call to order the Wednesday, January 15th, 2025 regular meeting of the Downtown Development Authority. Before we go to public comment, I'd like to welcome our newest member to the board, and that would be Director Gaccio. Did I do that right? All right. Mr. Gaccio is the new city manager here in the city of Royal Oak. So we welcome you. And if there's nothing else, I'll move on to public comment. Did anybody want to address the board? Yes.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Frank Hobrecht, and I'm going to speak on behalf of our building at 408 South Washington, the old Kresge building. So I appreciate the meeting with Mr. Sophia and Mr. Dunstan last month. We met in the alley, and we saw potholes and dirt and rat holes, and it's a mess. It's just an outright mess. On Christmas Eve, I had three elderly customers of Lily's walk out the back door, and all three were holding hands trying to walk through this icy tundra of an alley. And it's wrong. It's just blatantly wrong. In fact, I even sent an email to City Hall yesterday, because at the end of the alley, the sidewalk was completely closed. We're actually covered with about an inch of ice from our neighbors that was discharging off their gutter. And it got salted this morning, which is good. But again, there was an elderly guy just crawling, trying to get past this sheet of ice. And one good broken hip, when you're old, it could be a death sentence. You'll put you in a wheelchair and you're stuck. My mother broke her collarbone about 3 months ago, still struggling. So I understand there's some progress, that we're going to maybe see some new pavement. Maybe this year. This will be the year. I've owned the building for about 30 years, not quite, and we've had a dirt alley for all of that time. And it's time. It's time that we brought the alley up to a better standard, a higher quality of life. We deserve that, and it shouldn't be that hard. Pavements gets replaced throughout the entire city. Every day there was an agenda on the city commission meeting on Monday for public improvements. And I don't know if our alley was part of that or not, but I would appreciate if it gets done this year. It's time. It's time. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gomez? No? Okay. Seeing no other public comment, I will close public comment at this time and move on to the agenda. Item number 3 is organizational items. Our rules and regulations require us to choose a chairperson and vice chairperson at this time. These can be done together or separately, whatever the wish of the board is. I will say, if a nomination is brought forth by the board and does not receive a majority of the vote of the membership, then that nomination shall be set aside, and we'll hear other nominations that may be put forth. So I will open up the floor. Again, we are electing a chairperson and a vice chairperson, and they can be done together or separately. Director Yazbek.
I feel like I made this motion last year, and it seems like yesterday. That's how fast a year goes by. It's unbelievable. But I haven't changed my opinion. I think Chairman Sophia has done a tremendous job here for us, has all kinds of experience, knows all the individuals that are involved in the city, except the new city manager, which I'm sure He'll get to know pretty quickly. He does a great job just focusing us on the issues at hand, and outside of our monthly meeting, he does a great job of organizing committees that are effective in dealing with the issues that we have to deal with. So I think it's very easy to renominate Chairman Safayo.
Okay,
I will support that nomination.
okay, so I have a nomination and support. Okay, we will deal with this nomination first. If there's nothing else, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes. Director Van Ness.
And I will make a nomination for Mr. Yesbeck to continue as vice chairperson.
I'll second that.
Okay, so I have a nomination and a second. Discussion and all? Seeing none, I'll call for this vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes. Okay. So we've dealt with that. Thank you for the kind words and the support. Also during this time, we would just normally review the two standing committees, the Infrastructure and the Marketing Business Relation Committee. The people that are listed in the memo currently are on those committees, so there's not a significant change here, unless somebody really wants to try to move to a different committee. I would do my best to try to accommodate that, but at this time it's my discretion to keep the committees the way that they are. The second portion of that is if everybody, we need to just discuss quickly whether everybody is satisfied with the date and time of those committee meetings. And if anybody has a different suggestion, we could discuss that. This one seems to be working as it is, but if there's any discussion regarding this, if not, we will just keep it the way that it is. Okay, that being said, we will do that and we can move on to more business. Okay, next item is approval of the minutes from December 12th, 2024.
I'll move the approval of the minutes.
Motion by Director Dunstan,
Support?
supported by Director Van Ness. Any discussion or changes to the minutes? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes. Item 5 is expense items. For Mr. Gacio's knowledge, these are just informational supplied to the DDA. No action is needed on these. It just gives the members a chance if they wish to question staff as to the expenditures that have gone out. So if there's no questions for staff, we'll accept those and move on. Item number 6, business. Award professional engineering services. Asset management plan for downtown lights. This item was on our agenda in December. It was referred back to the Infrastructure Committee for additional information. For the board's knowledge, the city sent out an RFP in late October seeking proposals for consultants under contract with the city to evaluate its existing decorative street light system and provide recommendations and cost estimates to repair, upgrade, and replace parts of the system. At our meeting last month, there was a number of different questions that came forth that were not clear to the board members, and that was why it was sent back to the Infrastructure Committee. The Infrastructure Committee did meet with 2 companies who submitted proposals for this. Many questions were asked, including a lot of those that were brought up at the meeting regarding the procedure and the services being provided. Even more importantly to me, we were able to make clear with the both of the contractors about the urgency of moving forward with this project and accomplishing something as soon as possible. After a lengthy portion with both of these proposals, the Infrastructure Committee, and I want to add on there that staff agreed to recommend the approval of one of the proposals from OHM Advisors. I believe you have copies of those in front of you. So that's where we ended up. We were satisfied with what we heard from them. We felt very comfortable that they were on the same page as us as to what we wanted to get done, and they did understand the urgency for moving forward. So that's where we stand right now. The Infrastructure Committee and staff is recommending approval. There is a suggested resolution provided. I'll open the floor.
I'll move the passage of this.
Okay, let me take the motion first and then I'll come to you, okay? Motion by Director Dunstan.
Support.
Supported by Director Dubak. Questions, comments?
I was just gonna make the motion, and then I was gonna second the motion, but now I'm just completely out of the equation, which is just fine.
Okay, does anybody have any questions, or Director Dunstan?
I just want to mention that we talked to those of us on the Infrastructure Committee, met with both vendors, and we also had a high-ranking representative from the engineering department, and we all got an education on what exactly these groups are going to do. I want to point out also the allocating of the $100,000, that's a up to amount, and the vendors seem to indicate, the OHM vendors seem to indicate they more than likely wouldn't reach that amount. But we did get an education, and it makes sense what they're asking and what they're doing, so that's why I made the motion.
Thank you.
Through the chair, will Daniel manage the GIS deliverable, I assume? Is it a turnkey GIS system?
From my understanding is that the engineering department with Holly Donahue, the city engineer, would oversee a lot of that, but the DDA would have access to it.
Okay. If there's nothing else, I will call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes. Okay, next item. National Main Street Conference attendance. Daniel?
Yeah, as part of our accreditation with Main Street America and Main Street Oakland County, we have access to the Main Street Now conference this year hosted in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is a really great avenue to learn and take a deep dive over a couple days on best practices, network, connect with vendors, hear some really great keynote speeches that are covering hot topics. Within your packet, I have included the agenda in brief with a link to the full agenda with the sessions. I've also included estimated cost breakdowns per person. As part of our affiliation with Main Street Oakland County as our coordinating program, we do qualify for registration waiver for the first 2 attendees we register at $465 a person. That is broken down here. There is also the theme of the 2025 conference included, as well as sub-themes. And then some indication as far as our budget allocation. Between both the development and operating budget, we have $7,000 earmarked for training and development. Within this, I've calculated that 3 folks from the DDA could attend this conference, and we still come in under budget for that on an annual basis. At the bottom of this packet are two resolutions. One is a request for myself to attend the conference. The other is an open-ended resolution in case there are two board members that wish to attend as well.
Okay.
I'm
Director Keith.
curious if there's any other education and training that we had on the docket for the 2025 year, so that we could just make sure that we don't take it all in one swift swoop.
Other than the occasional webinar, I don't think there's any hot button ones. However, planning for next fall, we'll look into the Michigan Downtown Association Conference, which is a little closer to home. And then we do still have funding in our business development fund that can train some, or that can pay for some business trainings here in the district as well.
Okay.
Dr. Yazbek.
I'll make a motion for Daniel to attend.
Okay, we'll deal with these separately. That'll be good.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for the first resolution at an expense not to exceed $1,965 for Daniel to attend the conference. Any discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes. So the second one, I'm unfamiliar with this, an open-ended resolution, but I mean, I support it. I hopefully it's framed in the right, I don't know, Mr. DeBach, have you dealt with anything like this? This is we're leaving this open in case any three board members here wish to attend.
Yeah, I think it's appropriate in case no one wants to commit right this moment that we're
Correct.
giving the authority
Yeah, this is the first we're
to the
hearing
body
of
to
this,
say, okay,
so-
we're approving up to 2 more members to go.
Okay.
If people take those, and if not, the money doesn't get spent.
Just does, okay.
That reads right to me.
Okay, then I'm satisfied. Where does the board want to go with this?
I'll move.
Motion by Director Dunstan. Second by Director Yazbek. Further questions? Seeing none, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against, and that motion passes. Okay, MSOC accreditation.
Yes. As part of our accreditation to Main Street America, we are lucky to be in the largest and most robust coordinating program, the only countywide program in the country. Main Street Oakland County is our folks on the ground here in Oakland County. They are the folks that are doing the design assistance, making the one-on-one meetings, connecting with us as a community, presenting our accreditation each year, and then are always a phone call away. With them is Ray Schreiber of Louisiana Main Street. He is a professional who is brought in to help them analyze and evaluate each of the programs as we go through the reaccreditation process. As part of this process, we have a number of indicators that we must satisfy to reach the select level, which is the top level of accreditation. We've succeeded to do this, I believe, since 2017 or 2018, after a brief hiatus. So we are moving forward with our reaccreditation for 2025, and our folks from Main Street Oakland County and Mr. Schreiber will coordinate through a small work session and interact with you folks.
Okay,
All right, good
Welcome.
afternoon, everyone. I'm John Bryan, the program coordinator for Main Street Oakland County. Like Daniel said, we turned to our fellow coordinators like Ray from Louisiana to come in and be another third-party objective look over on the accreditation process with the communities. Real quick, before I turn it over to Ray, I want to add a couple footnotes about the conference in Philadelphia. Main Street Oakland County also provides a $500 travel stipend to each one of the communities. It doesn't have to be board members. We normally have a delegation from Oakland County of about 45 to 50 people from all the various Main Street communities from across the county, including your neighbors. And it's board members, businesses, property owners, elected officials, city leaders, volunteers. So it doesn't necessarily have to be board members, but we also contribute towards some of the travel as well as the 2 registrations. In addition, I want to mention, as you know, we're contributing a little over some $300,000 because you're part of Main Street to your 5th Street Plaza project. And because of the accreditation status too, it made you eligible for backing small business grants through Main Street America, which Right Expressions received last year. So I want to point those couple other footnotes out as part of our support and the connection to us. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Ray. I'm also joined by Annika Norris, who's our Assistant Program Coordinator at Main Street Oakland County. And between Annika and myself, we will be your liaisons from Main Street to the county to the local program. And like Daniel said, we're always on call to support and provide resources for your downtown efforts. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Scriber.
Thank you, and thank you all for the opportunity to be here today. We've had good meetings today with some of the business owners from your district in your downtown, and gotten a lot of good feedback from them. We met with the new city manager and just visited with him a little bit before this meeting, so I had a good opportunity to share information. And of course, he comes from his previous community is a Main Street community too, so he knows a lot about Main Street and will be a great supporter for you all. So we've had a good day. We had a great tour today of the district. You've got such a super nice downtown, and something you all should be proud of. I know you've done a lot of work through the years to get to the point that you are. Still have a lot of work to do still, of course, but that's part of Main Street. The work never gets done. What we do for the accreditation process, and we do this in Louisiana also. I work with 37 communities across the state of Louisiana, and so we have this same process basically, but all Main Street organizations across the country are assessed based on 6 standards, and I wanted to read those over to you because that'll kind of guide our conversation tonight as far as the information that I'd like to hear from you all about. Standard 1 is broad-based community commitment to revitalization. Standard 2 is inclusive leadership and organizational capacity. Standard 3 is diversified funding and sustainable program operations. Standard 4 is strategy-driven programming. Standard 5 is preservation-based economic development. And Standard 6 is demonstrated impact and results. So those are the 6 standards, and if organizations are working to implement a Main Street program in their community, it's if you're just doing the normal work of it, it's pretty easy to achieve those standards. So I guess I'd like to start out tonight by asking, what is your feeling about the broad-based community commitment to revitalization? Do people in Royal Oak outside the downtown district, do they support having a healthy downtown, and are they supportive of the work that you all do?
Anybody want to take a stab at this? Mr. Dubois.
Well, like anything, it depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
But I think by and large, the majority of Royal Oakers understand that our downtown is a critical part of the success of our city, that it's a hub for business and entertainment, and brings people to our city and acts as a billboard where folks come and experience the downtown, and then consider setting up their life here, and that helps to drive our property values, as does the influx of businesses whose employees then come spend much of their day in the downtown and very much would like to live near where they work. And our city offers the opportunity, because of our downtown, to do those things, have a live, work, play lifestyle that's kind of a tagline, and actually literally is our tagline, life, now playing. But I think while there's certainly debate about distribution of resources, as any city's going to have, I think by and large Royal Oakers very much appreciate being in a city that has a livable, walkable, enjoyable downtown that has something for everybody.
Good. Okay. Anybody else?
I think he summed it up for probably most of us here.
Do you feel like the people in Royal Oak have a good understanding of what the DDA does, its role and its responsibility, and all the things that it achieves, the successes it's had? Do you feel like the people attribute that to you all?
I think that could be somewhat questionable. There has always been a confusion between the DDA and the city commission, between the two bodies. But we do act very closely together, so a lot of our actions that we take have to get cleared through the city commission. So I'm not sure that the average resident has a good understanding of what the DDA specifically does. I will say that probably a larger percentage of the business community has a much better understanding about what the DDA does, because we interact with them, those in our district, quite consistently, through one-on-one contact, through surveys, through many different avenues that we interact with the businesses that are within our community.
Mm-hmm.
We even hire a downtown manager with the specific #1 goal of being in contact with the businesses. So I think there's a difference there as to who we're talking about in terms of understanding how the DDA operates and the body itself.
Yeah. I agree with that. From the meetings we had with some business owners this morning, the comments were that especially since COVID and over the past 5 years or so, that interaction with the businesses is much more, a lot more, I don't know what, right, lot more regular, a lot more specific, and a lot more effective. So I think your group is doing a good job on that. So that's good. What is the relationship with the city? I know y'all are a quasi-governmental entity, as we have the new city manager sitting here.
Director Dunstan, let's give him a shot here.
Well, I've been part of this board. I was off for a couple of years, a few years ago, but since like 2008, 2009, and back at that point in time, I would say the relationship, at least with the city commission, was not very good.
Mm-hmm.
It's got better. I feel like today the relationship is very good. And I mean, I kind of look at our body as, we don't decide what goes up in the downtown or how things work, but we're like, what was that, BASF? We try to make it better. We try to enhance. So we try to help businesses improve. We try to help people who live downtown, have a better experience. We help, to have visitors have a better experience. So I kind of look at what we do as like enhance or aid in these things happening. And I feel that we can't do that unless we have a good relationship with the city, and I feel we have a very good relationship with the city commission and the staff.
Dr. Yazbek, you want to chime in?
But I was just going to say that it's kind of like a marriage, although I'm not married. When we work on a project and it's very successful, we give the city, they're happy to take all the credit, and then when something goes wrong, they mention the DDA several times, so I think that's kind of the dynamic. But yes, I think we have a great relationship.
I forgot that part. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Dubak, please. I apologize.
Having been elected 3 times and serving on city commission from 11 to 23, and the collaboration has certainly strengthened over the years, and there's some really shining examples of where the DDA and the city are both bringing really important perspectives to the table, and that's really where we've had some of our greatest successes as a city. And then there's at the same time been instances where the left doesn't know what the right is doing, and also where there's lack of clarity around authority and accountability. And And I think that that lack of clarity exists on both sides, both with the commissioners and with the DDA, and also with residents not understanding really where the authority lies and who has the final say on certain things. In theory, because the DDA exists at the pleasure of the city, there's an argument to be made the city really has ultimately is accountable for anything that's done. But this body does exist by law for a specific purpose. Mm-hmm. And I think a shared understanding of that has been developing, but really needs to solidify and last as the members sitting at this table change and as there's change at the city commission table and among city staff. I think it's evolving over time, and we need, I think, a more firm and shared and consistent understanding of those rules.
Yeah, it's great to have that good relationship with the city. It's so important to have that partnership. That for all Main Street organizations, whether they're a nonprofit organization or DDA or just a part of the city government as a direct program, we always talk about the importance of having that good relationship with the municipal government. Your funding, I know you've got good TIF funding that comes in every year. How diversified is that? Is your overall funding for your budget? Do you just have the TIF funding and that's it, or do you have other sources of income?
That would be a question for our director. In terms of income coming into the DDA.
For the DDA, yes.
The majority of it, is the tax revenue from that the city collects on those that are in the downtown district, and then we, by law, are obligated to spend that money within the district, turn around and spend that money in the district, which we do. Mostly on infrastructure projects, some promotional items, but it's pretty basic. Mm-hmm. It's pretty basic.
Do you get regular reports from the city treasurer during your meetings?
We have not. That has not been part of our agenda in the past. Whenever we have requested any information, that's always been put forth to us.
Okay.
So it's available to us, I guess, is the best for us to say.
Then as the board, how do you know that you're operating within your budget throughout the year?
Our executive director maintains our budget.
Okay.
Separately from the city, and then I guess it's all combined in the end. But our executive director maintains ours.
Okay.
And we repeatedly see that often through the year, through the budget year.
Okay, so you do get reports of some kind.
Yes, I guess that should have been clarified. Yes.
Okay. And then, Daniel, does that come from the treasurer, from the city treasurer, your information?
So we typically all have access to the general ledger account
Okay.
application through BS&A. But so yes, it's overseen by the treasurer
Right.
and the finance department. But overall, the budget comes to the body by way of monthly expense reports, where we're indicating all of the expenses done that month, spent via check or credit, and then at least quarterly, these folks are seeing the budget as well.
Okay. All right. What are your strategies for the programming that you have as an organization? Have you identified one or two strategies, economic development strategies, or any other types of strategies that guide the work you do?
Daniel, you want to try?
Yes, I can. So essentially, we've done a couple work sessions, as well as committees have talked about the transformation strategy. This body doesn't necessarily use the term transformation strategy as much as it uses goals and objectives.
Okay.
So each year during the budgeting process, They review the goals. There are 7 outright goals that they follow. So one of them is safety and security of downtown, placemaking, infrastructure improvements, promotional advertising, and I believe events, as well as sound organization. And another one that is not coming to me, but so those goals are laid out outright, and then from there objectives are built. So part of them, just for example, the downtown safety goal, what objective supports that is the fact that there is specific funding for downtown patrols. Placemaking goal, specific activities that uphold that are things like small placemaking through the murals, the Fifth Plaza, trash receptacles or beautification. So typically we call them work plans or goals and objective document, but that's part of our budgeting process what starts in February and goes through the end of May. As they build the objectives, the goals, and then from there figures are put to the budget and then voted.
And then projects are implemented to achieve those goals, and everything you talk about is related to those goals and objectives. Okay.
If I could just add to that, just compared to 15, 16 years ago, the scope of what we do is way more diverse than what it was back when I first came on the board. It's as Daniel explained. Right now, we kind of have a little push towards infrastructure. The downtown, a lot of the things we have in the downtown are old and need to be brought up to speed. We just approved $100,000 for someone to tell us what's wrong with the lights. So I would tell you that it's very diverse, and I will say that between Daniel and Executive Director, Mr. Twain, they've really helped us achieve that and make sure we got our eyes open everywhere.
Okay, good, awesome. One of the standards talks about historic preservation. What is the historic preservation ethic here in Royal Oak?
I can't address that. I don't know if you can, Mr. Dunstan or Mr. DeBuck. I'm not sure. You have probably better. You two probably have the most history with historic preservation.
Well, I will tell you that we haven't had any I can't recall having any specific programs towards historic preservation. We operate, this city operates with a planning commission, and whether it's a DDA property that's being developed or any other property in the downtown, it goes through planning and then it goes through the city commission, and in general, that's when those types of items come up or are addressed.
Okay.
If you're asking if there's been any specific programs, I would have to tell you no, that I can recall.
Is there a historic district commission?
There is.
There is.
We have a lot of historic committees in this city.
But a commission that's set up by ordinance and has oversight over.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll use, you
Design
probably walked by it
guidelines.
today, the bank at 4th and Main, that's an example. That building is under that commission.
Okay.
It's under any development of that building goes, along with those other bodies I just mentioned, goes through them as well.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. DeBuck.
Yeah, the Historic District Commission has purview over the entire city, including the DDA, and I think most recently, Farmers Market falls within DDA, right?
Yep.
We identified the farmers market as historically protected. It had been an issue of much concern that with all the development going on, what is the future of the farmers market? Residents recognize that it's a jewel of our city. There's a lot of history there, and so they did the study, and the commission voted to give that a historic designation. So the commission is constantly working, also hearing resident petitions of things that they think are worthy of that designation, but then those go through the Historic District Commission and then to the City Commission. I don't believe they come to this body on a regular basis. So.
They probably don't,
Right.
and yeah, that would be the process, to go to the city commission after that. Typically, we require that our communities have historic district commissions, and as I understand it, I think today we talked about this, that individual properties are under the purview of the historic district commission as the property owners want to have them put on there. Okay.
Yeah, there have been efforts in certain neighborhoods to kind of identify an entire block as historically protected. But that's a really high bar to tell all those residents that you're going to be really restricted in how you modify your home going forward. So
Yeah, it is, and yeah, we face that a lot too. But it can be as high a bar as you want it to be. If you just especially in cities that are under development pressure, if it's important to maintain your historic character of the community, the look and the feel of the community as it is, then it's important to have some type of legal protection for that, and having historic districts is really one of the best ways, if not the best way, and maybe the only legal way to protect the historic character of your town. And it can be for the downtown area to protect the commercial district, or it can be for residential areas. And design guidelines are established as a part of that, so that developers, potential builders know that, for construction, it has to fall within these certain design guidelines, certain materials have to be used. And so it helps make sure the historic character of even new construction, or the character of new construction maintains a character that fits in with the rest of the district. So just something for you all to consider and think about, that there are opportunities there to make those protections a little bit stronger than you have in place right now, rather than just relying on the property owner to volunteer to put his or her property under the auspices of the Historic District Commission. One of the standards talks about demonstrated impact and results, and part of that is the reporting that is done to Main Street, Oakland County. They do require regular reporting, and I would think that you all are pretty good about keeping that. What about reports to the City Commission or to the public? Do you all have any kind of publications or reporting that you do that shows the results of the work that you do? Do you attend the City Commission meetings as a representative of the DDA board?
When necessary, I guess would be, but and if we're not asked for a report or an update or to deal with a specific item, then probably not.
Okay.
But I know that the commission is aware of the activity that the DDA provides and what we're doing. So I'm familiar with that. We do communicate with members of the commission on a regular basis. And then we also have our executive director who communicates with the commission on a regular basis also, for any items that might be, that we need to be advised of or are going to come before us. So,
is the executive director an employee of the DDA or of the city?
both.
Both, okay.
Just to add, typically, for a lot of the DDA activities going before the board, the executive director and myself champion those and represent those at the commission. And the DDA did just publish an annual report of activities for fiscal year 23 and 24. We are required under state statute to produce a synopsis of annual activities, so that's something that we did publish last month as well.
Okay, good. Awesome. Okay, well, those are the 6 areas that we look at for the standards. Do y'all have any other thoughts or input that you'd like to share with me as far as the work that y'all are doing and something that I need to know about? I've learned some good things today, but from you as the board, what other things do I need to know about? What are your priorities?
I thought one new initiative is the like the Battle of the Buildings, where they're looking at helping the businesses with energy audits and things of that nature to help look at sustainability in a business focus within all the residents or all the business community downtown. I think that's a great program that was spearheaded, and I think we were awarded around $100,000 through I think it was EDGL, I do believe, but that was really cool effort that we that the community went after and awarded and looking to do some positive efforts with.
Yeah, good. What are some challenges that y'all have been facing, and especially looking back in 2024? What were some challenges that you worked through or had?
Well, I would say that we really, like a lot of communities, haven't yet recovered from COVID.
Okay.
And, you know, I know that Daniel at the end here has some place AI numbers. I'm not sure how they compare to 5 years ago. But I think every business, just about every business in town, retailer, restaurant, will tell you that the numbers are not the same as what they were prior to COVID. And that's one challenge. Mr. Yesbeck will tell you that it's just people on the streets, you know, foot traffic.
Mr. DeBuck.
I think two things come to mind. Obviously, parking has been an ongoing issue, not in our city, but downtowns everywhere. So 2024 was no different, as were the 20 years before that. Trying to strike the right note on how to maintain parking infrastructure, bringing the dollars necessary to do that, while making sure parking is accessible and available and easy to, engage with without, promoting negative experiences for visitors and residents. Mm-hmm. Still trying to land that in the best possible way. Whether you're integrating modern technology or sticking with the dumb meters, there's pluses and minuses in both camps. So that continues to be an issue, as well as diversifying the downtown, attracting retail in addition to bars, restaurants, and entertainment, which we very much love. But we really want to up that foot traffic so that we can have, more kind of unique retail that brings people to this as a shopping and entertainment district. Mm-hmm. The plan for that, based on a DDA study 9 years ago, was Class A office space. So the city really worked hard to attract Class A office space, was very successful. And then COVID hit, and now people are working remotely, 50% of the time. So it was a success, but the circumstances changed, which I think is the struggle, especially for a bustling, evolving downtown, is, setting a plan and hitting your goals, but then the world changed around you and those goals. So I think getting ahead of what is the next right strategy and not what we think things should look like right now, I think is a struggle for us in other downtowns.
Yeah. So you had that study done several years ago. Have you had an updated study since then, or is that maybe something to look to doing soon?
There were some follow-up retail studies that the city and the DDA collaborated on. I can't remember the last year we had one, but they identified some best practices for retailers and for the city and the DDA to try and pursue together, with available resources and available inventory. I want to say that was in like 17, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
Well, so perhaps, especially given that the world has changed since COVID, maybe it's time to do another update of that type of study to give you some direction on how to attract the right mix of businesses for your downtown, and what might work, given the new reality that we're in right now.
We did have a master plan that just came out, right?
It's in draft form right now.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of a little bit along those lines, right? That's talking about
Yep.
ways to enhance the master study allows us the ability to look at some of the new opportunities and new ways that we can develop the downtown. And I think that still needs to be looked at as in draft form, and it needs to be still considered in looking at that. And I think it needs to be increased, to your point, of continuing to try to see, like, not just currently, but like let's try to continue to look at the next 10 years and trying to really look at that. So I think we're working towards that. I just think it's not quite there yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Through the chair, I'd be interested in understanding, related to that,
on a retail study, what we have, what our understanding is of our vacancy rates, what our understanding is of our market and sub-market leakage opportunities as well. So that might be all rolled up into an updated retail study that's comprehensive, but that micro detail is going to be a little bit more than the MLUP can give us, and I'd look for that.
Any other challenges, any other good successes that you want to talk about or tell me about in 2024?
The only thing that comes to my mind is we have seen a bunch of new development. I would say the majority of that development has been, at least lately, has been residential development in the downtown district. I think that's been very successful. And I know for a fact that we have multiple developers out there right now searching for more property within our district that are very anxious to develop those properties. So the request is out there, the need's out there. I think that's a good thing. I mean, the fact that they know that people want to come here and live here can only benefit us.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Director DeBuck.
Yeah, I would just tell you, I think our greatest success is we have no shortage of suitors. Like, people very much want to do business here and they want to invest here. Amidst a great number of options, I think Royal Oak is one of the first stops if someone's looking to invest and build out, whether it's a new development or a new business. So I think our challenge is really identifying which of those suitors and which of those proposals are best aligned with our needs and our goals and our vision for the city.
Mm-hmm. What is the experience of people who come to the city and want to open a new business or invest? Have you heard from them that they have, the city's difficult to work with, or the processes are seem laborious, or too restrictive or too hard to work through? Or do you feel like people have been able to do the things they need to do as far as opening businesses or doing development in the city pretty easily?
We do have a turnover of businesses, but it seems like, for the most part, when we have businesses close, we do, those businesses are filled, and we do, I can say currently right now, we probably have 5 or 6 new businesses that are online to open in the near future here in the downtown area. So I mean, I think that's positive. So, and I don't think that's anything specific to our city. I think it's a familiar thing throughout our neighboring communities. Other than that, I don't. The city's not hard to work with. That was what, Mr. Dunstan, 15 years ago, when we were having issues with businesses coming in and running into roadblocks. But that doesn't seem to exist anymore. That is definitely not an issue. Would we like to see? As a group, would we like to see rental rates, lease rates come down a little bit? Yes, we would love to see that. We think that would be extremely beneficial to our community if that could happen.
Just to piggyback on top of that, as I regularly field inquiries into the district, folks looking to find a place to set up shop and open their business, everything from a regional virtual reality arcade bar setup, 12,000 square feet, all the way down to your apparel or Pilates studio looking for 1,000 square feet. And of the ones that do not establish camp here in downtown, it's almost always due to the inability to find a landlord that is willing to work with them or offer them a lease rate that is affordable, or spaces that are the right size for them. So, for example, the 12,000 square feet I just mentioned, there was probably 2 viable options in downtown that they were kind of match made, where connecting them to the business owner or the property owner was easy enough. But then once discussions happened on the actual space and the pricing and the build out, that's where we lost them. And they eventually chose other communities to set up shop.
Well, it's good though that people that are interested in coming in look to the DDA as a resource and that first point of contact to help them and give information and help make that connection and make the match for space. So that's one of the very important roles that the DDA should perform and is doing good at that.
And just a big kudos to Emily Robel in the Economic Development Department. She's a great right hand. She covers all of Royal Oak, but she's been a great partner for downtown, working hand in hand with me to make sure that we're finding the right places and the right businesses to move into the district when we can.
She's with the City Economic Development. Okay, well, I think we are about out of time. Any other final thoughts or anything you want to share?
I would just, like to thank the Main Street program because they are very helpful in some of the successful things that we were able to do in the past. I think that our big advantage is that the City Commission and the DDA are completely unified in their desire to maintain Royal Oak's status as the top metro area in Michigan, and really everything we do is geared toward making sure the city flourishes. We have a great city staff. They're very welcoming and helpful. Our weakness was probably city manager, and now we've solved that problem. So we're very excited about our future, and so thank you very much for your assistance and all you help us with.
You're very fortunate to have a county coordinating program. This is the only county coordinating program in the country, and that's very helpful to you all because you have such direct access and easy access to them and to their staff, and they're very supportive and great staff too. So, we have to cover the whole state, and I have me and a half of another person to cover the entire state of Louisiana. So we can't be as responsive and don't have as many resources. So you are very lucky to have that here in Oakland County.
Well, we'd like to win some of those awards eventually, those Oakland County awards.
We got to apply. We'll really lay the challenge down. We'd love to see Royal Oak be on the Great American Main Street stage.
Absolutely.
Like Rochester and Ferndale and Farmington was the semifinals this year. So
yeah, that's the highest award in the Main Street world. So it's something you all should look to. I think you certainly qualify for that and would have a good chance of getting that award. Well, thank you all for the work you all do throughout the year. I know it's it's not an easy work, it's not an easy job, but you all have stuck with it. Thank you for your time tonight. The next steps in this is I'll still have some documents to review, some documentation that is normally submitted through the assessment process, and then Daniel will complete a self-assessment of all of these things we talked about. There's a form, online platform that Main Street America sets up, and Daniel will complete that self-assessment. Then I'll come in and do the same assessment based on that platform. And then after I've reviewed all the documents and done that self-assessment, that will determine whether or not you are an accredited Main Street program, which means you have met the 6 standards, or you will be an affiliate program, which is you're still a member of Main Street America, but there's just some 1 or 2 of the standards that you haven't achieved. So that report will be forthcoming after we complete all those next steps on that. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay, we'll just finish out the agenda here with reports, 2024 visit summary with benchmarking. Daniel?
So as part of our Placer subscription and the policy this board put in place, presented here is an annual report of foot traffic for the district from January 1st to December 31st, 2024. Considering the benchmarking we regularly do based on our neighbors in Birmingham and Ferndale, I've also included statistics and benchmarks comparing them. So just to take a quick cursory overview here. First, what you'll see is a chart that shows you the number of visits, the number of visitors, the frequency of visits, so that's how many times those visitors came to do one of those visits. So ours is 3.98, which means the average person that visited here came here 3.98 times. One thing I do want to note for you is on the bottom right of that property overview where it says visit trends. The color coding there, a little overlappy, but one thing to point out is from 24 to the last 12 months, or 23 to the last 12 months, the foot traffic decline is holistically a trend. So we are down about 200,000 visitors from 24 from 23. Ferndale is in the same boat. Birmingham is in the same boat. So it is appearing to be more of a trend for those neighbors. Further review and benchmarking from other areas in Michigan and the country are forthcoming. Also within here, you'll notice the audience overview. This is based on Pop Stats, which is market segmentation, and breaks it down based on different prisms that you fall into based on what you buy, how much you earn, where you live. In here, you'll see that we are pulling a bachelor's degree rate of 44.7%. In this report is not included the Michigan benchmark, but we are across the board exceeding Michigan's base average of folks with median household income, bachelor's degree or higher, and persons per household and ethnicity are pretty on par with what the state averages as well. And those break down further into some bar charts there that are color-coded. Beyond that, you'll see a chart that shows daily visits. That's showing the frequency. So most folks are coming to our district on Saturdays. Most people are also on Fridays. Pretty common knowledge that the weekend is very popular for Royal Oak as a nightlife destination. One thing I will point out is if you'll notice the Monday, the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we are even or less than Birmingham's principal shopping district, and a lot of that can be attributed to office use and just the number of folks that are going into town as visitors and working. And then, of course, breaks it down by hourly visits and visit durations, just based on what the most popular times of day are on average, as well as the visit, how long they're spending there. Within the annual report that was produced last month, you'll note the second to last page was an annual statistic for the fiscal year 23-24, which is July to June. In there, we've listed Royal Oak's most popular times are Friday, Saturday, from about 5 to 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. So
You're welcome.
yes, very much the nightlife crowd pulling there. But this does indicate some room where we can go after additional markets through commercial advertising, through recruitment techniques, through events, through any number of activations to try and pull folks in on those times that we're not necessarily succeeding on. So earlier in the week, weekday nights, whether that's promotions on Tuesdays, working with the restaurants and bars, you're welcome, Tony, or working with retailers to extend hours of operation to better align when foot traffic is actually around. And
Okay. Any questions for Daniel regarding this? If you want to look it over, we can discuss it again in another meeting, future meeting, if you want to come back with something.
And we can always take deeper dives. Just shoot me a message and I can pull whatever report you need for the district.
All right. Thank you, Daniel. Good work.
Thank you.
Does anybody have anything they want to bring before the board tonight? Okay. Seeing none, I'll call for Dr. Yazbek.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Director Yazbek, second by Director Van Ness. If there's nothing else, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes, and we are adjourned.